morning, everyone, and welcome, welcome, welcome. We are so pleased that you have found us this evening right here in the back room. I am your host for the evening, Hank Philippi Ryan, the USA Today bestselling author of 14 going on 15 novels of suspense. My current novel is The House Guest, which I have cleverly put on the door behind me. It's sort of Gaslight meets Thelma and Louise. And my brand new book, which comes out February 6th, which I'm going to sneak and show you right now, is One Wrong Word, which we're all having fun trying to make book faces out of it. I think I can do it. I'll practice. I am also the investigative reporter for WHDH TV here in Boston, winning 37 Emmys for investigative reporting. Jillian Cantor has a BA from Penn State University and an MFA from the University of Arizona. She is the USA Today and internationally best-selling author of 12 novels, which have been chosen for Indie Next, Library Reads, Amazon Best of the Month, and have been translated into 14 languages. Born and raised in a suburb of Philadelphia, Cantor currently lives in Arizona with her husband and 2 sons, and she's coming to us from Pennsylvania tonight, right?
I am. I'm in my childhood home.
Oh, that's so nice. And that's our next author is Cindy Fazzi. Hey, Cindy. Cindy is a Filipino-American writer and former Associated Press reporter. Hold up that book, Molto. That's fantastic. She has worked as a journalist in the Philippines, Taiwan, and the United States. She is the author of Molto, and there it is, gorgeous-looking book, a contemporary thriller published by Agora Books, an imprint of Polis Books, in September of 2023. Her historical novel, My MacArthur, was published by Sandhill Review Press in 2018. Her articles have appeared in Daily Beast, Electric Literature, Publishers Weekly, Forbes, and Writers Digest. And where are you coming from, Cindy?
Sacramento area.
Oh, you're in Sacramento. Welcome. Our next author is Jeneva Rose. Hey, Jeneva. Is the New York Times bestselling author of several novels, including the million-copy bestselling thriller, I'll just say that again, including the million-copy bestselling thriller, The Perfect Marriage, and the instant New York Times bestseller, You Shouldn't Have Come Here. Her work has been translated into more than 24 languages, an option for film and TV. Originally from Wisconsin, she currently lives in Chicago with her husband, Drew, who we all know, and her English bulldog, Winston. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Jeneva, glad to see you.
Thank you. Glad to see you. Thank you.
Our fourth author this evening, Jessica Strawser, is the editor-at-large for Writers Digest and the author of 6 popular book club novels, including Almost Missed You, the Book of the Month selection, Not That I Could Tell, A Million Reasons Why, and the People magazine pick, The Next Thing You Know. Her latest, The Last Caretaker, is an Amazon editor's first reads pick for November and released widely and wildly on December 1st. So hooray for your launch week. And let me begin with our fabulous backroom 20 questions. Several questions. Oh, not really 20. It'll be like 12 questions, but that's enough. We will ask each of them a question and see what happens with their answers. I will start with in the order that I see you on the screen. So that means Cindy, you are first. So here we go. Cindy, were you in high school a good student?
Yes, I think I was. This was back in Manila. I went to an all-girls school and very prim and proper, very well behaved. Boys were not allowed on campus. This is an all Catholic school, and I think I was a good student. I didn't get in trouble, and I was very lucky. The nuns that I had were all good. I mean, I've heard some horror stories in other schools, but not for me, luckily.
What was your favorite subject? Do you remember?
English, of course.
That's great. I'm trying to picture, did you have uniforms?
Yes, white blouse and blue pleated skirt, and we were not allowed to wear them, above the knees, but we sometimes break that rule and wear it a little short. But
because you roll up the waistband, right? That's how
exactly.
We've all done that.
Hey, you know it.
Totally did the same thing. Thank you for being here this evening. Jillian, you have the next question. What was your favorite book as a child?
I thought I was going to get the same question that Cindy had. I was preparing.
Oh, no. Don't prepare. Don't prepare. You never know what's going to be in here.
I'm going to say The Great Gatsby, like not as a child, but as a early, preteen, like 12, 13-year-old. I think I read that in middle school and I loved that book. And I mean, went on my last book that I published was actually a retelling of The Great Gatsby from the women's point of view. So it was just always something that I would read. I read it once a year, probably my whole life since I was 13.
It's a haunting book. And when I read the idea for your book, Beautiful Little Fools, The Great Gatsby from the women's point of view, I just thought that's the best idea I've ever heard. I mean, congratulations on that. And so interesting how something that you read when you were a preteen became such a formative, life-changing thing.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely saw it differently as a preteen. I think I originally read it as a love story. And then when I read it as an adult, I was certain that it was not a love story. It was definitely a tragedy. So my perspective on it changed over the years, but I always loved it.
Yeah, it's a murder mystery too, certainly. So, Jessica Strawser, do you remember your very first car?
Oh, I do. But first, I have to tell you, Jillian, how much I loved that book.
Thank you.
I'm fangirling so hard right now because I've never met you. And I just dwelled on every word of that book. Hank, I remember my first car. It was a 1987 Buick Century. It was like a maroony mauve color, and it had been my dad's company car. And when it stopped being fancy enough to be his company car, he bought it for a steal from the company, and I ended up with it. It had a broken hood ornament from the basketball games that went on in our driveway. So normally there'd be like the Buick symbol inside the metal ornament on the hood, and mine just had like a crooked circle with nothing inside.
But did you love it?
It was like a love-hate. Like, it wasn't a nice car, but I loved having a car. So yeah.
That's great. Laura Johnson says, my first car was a Buick. My dad's car that he couldn't sell for high enough to the junk company. So he gave it to me.
Exactly. My grandma had the same car. She had a light blue one and I had a maroon one.
That's great. And Jillian, I hope you'll see there's a lot of acclaim in the chat for
I'm trying to figure out how to respond to the chat. I'm on my iPad. I just figured it out. So I
okay, great. And don't worry about responding. Just wave. It's all good.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Jeneva, what was your first job?
My first job, I mean, my first, I don't know, it was a cash job, babysitting. But then my first actual I'm getting paid and they're taking taxes out of it was Goodwill. Actually, I worked in pricing, so I was in the back sorting through all the donations that would come in, which was interesting at sometimes and really gross at other times because some people just pack stuff, they don't care what it is, and they donate it, and then there are people that have to sort through it, and it's not great. But yeah, I was the fastest pricer. I could do an entire rack in 30 minutes of clothing. So
that's a real skill. Were there any treasures?
Actually, they started training me where I was the one that was trained on jewelry, diamonds, being able to see if it was counterfeit or not, as well as designer bags, because I was very good at pricing the clothing and the accessories. So we would get a lot of very nice items. I lived in the Delavan, Lake Geneva area in Wisconsin, and Lake Geneva is a very ritzy area. So we would get a lot of the donations from the upper class. So
I gotta think there's a book in there somewhere. I mean, it just seems, what might be in a pocket or something lost or something donated on purpose to find. I don't know. We'll talk about it later. We'll talk.
That's a murder weapon donated.
Exactly. Not only do we want to talk about your books, but we want to talk about the books that you're reading and loving right now. And we've asked each of our authors to recommend briefly a book that they absolutely love and want to make sure that you know about too. And so, Cindy, we'll start with you. What book are you recommending?
Yeah, I highly recommend The Son of Good Fortune by Leslie Tenorio. Not only because I love the book, but because it has a similar theme as my own book. So Leslie Tenorio is a fellow Filipino-American, and his book is about an undocumented Filipino teenager who has a strained relationship with his mother, who is also undocumented. The mother is a really colorful character. She is this B-movie action star in the Philippines, but in the US, she makes a living scamming American men who go online looking for submissive Asian women. So the mother pretends to be the sweet, meek woman who just happens to need cash very urgently. It's a beautifully written coming of age novel with a lot of sense of humor. I love it.
Wow, that sounds complex, and I've never heard of it. It sounds wonderful and an incredible cover. I'm looking at it now. Thank you for introducing us to that. Great, great. Jillian, what about you?
Okay, so here I just have this one isn't out yet. Hopefully you can see it. It's The Still Point by Tammy Greenwood. And Tammy is one of my favorite authors and also just like a very wonderful human being and friend. But I love all of her books. This one I really love. It's a mystery, it's a thriller, but it's about three moms whose daughters are in competitive ballet, teenage daughters. And you get to see all of the moms' points of view, the teenage daughters' points of view. They're all sort of vying for this like scholarship. This new Parisian ballerina comes to their school in this little coastal town in California, and he's offering a scholarship to Paris. And so they all start vying for it. And then there's a mystery, and it's a thriller, and it's also like three middle-aged moms who are sort of going through their own crisis, and it's just wonderfully written and beautiful characters, like all of her books, but also a really fascinating mystery. And Tammy's daughter is actually a ballerina, which I think adds another level to this book that I love.
Thank you. Jessica, what book are you recommending?
Mine, it's on my Kindle, so I'm glad it's in the graphic too. Yes, First Lie I Win by Ashley Elston. This book also is not quite out yet. It comes out next month, but it is so good. It is very seldom that as a fellow suspense author, you pick something up that surprises you every few pages. And it's about this woman who is running a con on her boyfriend. All you know when it starts is that she's obviously not who she says she is. She's using an assumed name, and she's kind of talking about how she tricked him into being her boyfriend. You don't yet know what she's after. And one of the first things that happens is they go to a party together, and another woman comes up and introduces herself as this woman's actual identity. Like using her real name and hometown and high school and everything. So she knows that this person is also some sort of con artist. And it's just like the twistiest, most crazy cat and mouse book that I've maybe ever read.
That sounds great. Like, I'm so pleased that I have it right here. Everybody else, remember that. First Lie Wins by Ashley.
I can't wait to hear what you think of it, Hank. After
okay, cool. We'll talk about it. And maybe we'll get Ashley to come here in the back room as well. This is all good.
If you get her, tell her I love her.
Oh, I will do that. We'll call her. We'll call her right now.
Let's call her.
Geneva, what book are you recommending?
I am recommending Only One Survives by Hannah Mary McKinnon. And unfortunately, this does not come out until July 2024. But I have not read any books that have recently been released because I've only been blurbing books. I have a long list to blurb. But I love this. I love this setup. It's about two girls that become friends, they're enemies at first. In high school, one's the really wealthy girl, one's the, poor girl. They become friends, and then they find something in common, which is music, and they end up forming a band and bring in other band members. And I describe it as like rock and roll with a dash of murder, and it shows the ugly side of fame and what can happen when you want to fight over the spotlight. So they end up taking a little trip with the whole band. Someone dies, other people are injured, and one of the girls is missing, and you're trying to figure out what exactly happened. Did someone do this to the other one? Did they want the spotlight themselves? But I found it to be very twisty, and it takes a lot for me to be fooled by an ending, but I was fooled by this one. So I really enjoyed it. It doesn't come out till July 2024, so add it to your TBR now.
Wasn't that fun? We hope you enjoyed that taste of what a backroom session is like. But more fun comes immediately afterward. That's when the audience is broken up into 4 breakout rooms, and each author in turn visits each room. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because those relaxed face-to-face conversations between best-selling authors and readers are the hallmark of backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded, because what's said in the back room stays in the back room.